Dan Constantino, welcome back to the show, sir.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. It's been a little over a year since the last time you and I got together here and recorded. So, and it's funny, the last time this podcast had just been rebranded to the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast, and you were probably my second or third guest when I did that rebrand.
Absolutely.
I was in my home office, and we did it over Zoom. And you being a Pittsburgh guy, I remember, I think you were in your basement.
Definitely.
Yeah, you had all the memorabilia behind you, which is cool.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool.
Now my girls have taken that over.
Oh, really? Your kids took it? Get out of here.
The man cave's gone.
That's cool. One of the reasons that I wanted to get you back in here, and it's always better in person. Mm-hmm. Kind of like sex, it's better in person than on Pornhub.
I didn't know we were going here.
No, seriously though, we have better conversations in person. We really do.
Yep.
And so much has changed in your life over the last 12 months. Like, you came in and even from the first day I met you, you were a dialed in individual. You had things going on with your investments, your properties, your real estate, which we'll dive into that in a minute. But what's transpired and the growth that you've had over the last 12 months is like, what the fuck is this guy doing in a good way? So let's talk about it, man. How'd you get involved in the whole real estate game to begin with?
Man, I just got fed up with the companies I work for messing with my commission dollars.
Yeah.
So they always put me on that hamster wheel and tried to make me run, harder and faster than I was before. I'd always been a top salesperson and just got tired of it. So I looked for a side hustle and real estate was it.
And that was it. Was it like, because I think there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs when it comes to real estate investing. Like, hey, I don't have the skill set for that. Oh, it's risky. I don't have enough money. Did you have to overcome all of that kind of crap?
Oh, 100%. Number one, I had to change my mindset. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which has launched probably 80% of the real estate careers out there.
Yeah, sure.
And it broke my whole line of thinking. Like, no one I ever talked to in my whole life had ever uttered those words, buy assets. I mean, we didn't talk about assets and things like that. So that broke my mind. I went to some seminars, some free seminars that ended up costing me like 20 grand. So that helped because that motivates you to put in the work, right? When you pay for it, it motivates you to put in the work. And then I had cold feet. I mean, I just made a post about this. On my first flip, I almost walked away the day before from a $5,000 hand money, earnest money deposit, and got the confidence to do it. I got over those cold feet, and I ended up making 27 grand on my first flip.
So you were going from losing 5 grand to making 27. I was going
to walk away for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, scared.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't the easiest thing, and you probably learned a bunch of lessons along the way. But if you had been willing to get uncomfortable, like what would that look like now? You'd probably be back to working a W-2 corporate job in an industry that you absolutely despised.
There's I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think, we could always think back. I would like to think that I would have made the jump eventually, but yeah, I mean, there's no other outlet that I've ever been as passionate about as real estate.
Yeah.
So maybe I would have still been there.
Sure.
Because I had a good life.
Yeah, for sure. So the real estate portfolio has grown a bit.
I just did every goal planning and all that stuff, and I have like a spreadsheet of where I went from.
You have a spreadsheet?
I do.
Come on, get out of here.
I am behind. I didn't do my net worth calculator yet, but I went from 81 units to 417 in 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a massive, massive jump.
It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because my goal was to be at 200 units this year.
Right.
That was what I told my team and everything. Mm-hmm. So obviously we had the one big deal that really catapulted us, but I was either going to fail or succeed, and here we are.
Yeah, so that deal was something that was in the works for quite some time.
Yeah, I think since July.
Yeah, you and I had several conversations in and around that. I know you leveraged some other people within our Apex ecosystem as well.
Couldn't have done it without them.
And, I from an outsider looking in, I mean, hey, you got a big set of balls to take on a deal like that. I mean, we're talking how many doors in total? It's 305?
305, yeah.
305 doors, one single transaction. But the amount of due diligence and work, like real work, you had to put into the back end to make sure that this was the right deal before getting in over your head. I can't even imagine what that looked like.
You know, it's something I was studying for I think a year and a half. You know, I'm a part of another mastermind that's all they do is syndication deals, apartment buildings. So I certainly didn't go into it, uneducated.
Okay.
With that said, did I miss a ton? Yeah.
Yeah.
I did in retrospect. We've owned it for about a month and a week now.
Sure.
And obviously I would have done a lot different, but
yeah,
we're in it. There is no fail. Like we will win on it.
Sure. Well, I mean, look, it's lessons learned. That's how you've gotten to the level you're at now, is you've done things and said, oh, I'll probably do that better next time.
What's funny is, like, you knew what to do. You put trust in certain things instead of doing the right due diligence. I shouldn't say the right, just going that extra step on the due diligence. And now you understand why that's a rule. Mm-hmm. So yeah, lessons learned, but I mean, it's
I think it's
been a fun ride.
I'm sure. I think the way I've heard it put before is trust but verify.
I'm a big subscriber to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Do you think all of the smaller transactions that you had done prior to this, because I mean, you had, like you said, 80-something doors before this, do you think that was like the warm-up or the prep work required to get you the skill set needed to come into this big deal?
No question. Mm-hmm. It's still hard to really compare some of those smaller deals. And when I say smaller, I'm talking duplexes, 4 units, 8-unit buildings, maybe more so 8-unit buildings, but the 2 and 4 units, it's tough to really relate those type of due diligence inspections to a 100-unit complex. They're I mean, the mechanics are just wildly different, and
sure,
and the numbers are obviously vastly different as well. So, but there's no question. It's not even about knowledge level. It's about also having confidence in yourself and having a team that is able to scale with you as well. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't have done it without doing those smaller deals, but it's, before this was a 305 units, $18 million purchase. We're going to do $2 million in CapEx. The biggest deal prior to this was $950,000. It was a 12-unit building that we bought in 2021. Before that, it was like, I think, an 8-unit building for $300-some thousand. Sure. So, like, we just, we went
massive level up, dude.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is, again, going back to the prep work of all the other purchases and building your team around you, because you got a team of, construction guys and office staff to help you with all the rentals you currently have. That had to have been in place in order for you to take this deal on, I would assume.
No doubt. The reason I really fought hard to get this deal was it was so close to us that we could manage it ourselves. Operations is big for me. I always use the term 85% of the properties that I buy are from people that should not have owned rentals. Uh-huh. So, and the reason is because they're not good operators, and we are. So, yeah, that was definitely a key factor of me buying this versus buying an apartment building in another market and trusting some other operator. That would have been tough for me to do on my first deal.
Yeah. Recently, going back, I don't know, maybe half a year or so now, you actually bought a home here in Frisco, Texas. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's your first investment property outside of the main region, which is the Pittsburgh area.
First rental outside the area for sure.
Yeah.
I have since purchased. I partner with someone, some friends that I lend to, and then also I think they're in Apex as well. But we bought one in Deep Creek, Maryland, which is a little lake vacation spot. So they're managing that. I'm actually the passive guy in that role. And then I have a flip down in Florida that I'm most likely going to turn into an Airbnb as well.
Got it.
But yeah, this was definitely the first one.
So the one here in Frisco. What was the intention? How come this area? Why did you choose here, and how's it going overall?
Yep. So I'm down here every month, so I kind of wanted a place to stay, and it wasn't that. It doesn't make sense financially just to buy
Have
a
a place
property.
to stay, yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to get my toes in the water for Airbnb because the numbers are stupid.
Sure.
And this was a good way to do it. Have some place for me to stay, and then also get my feet wet on the Airbnb front.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not turned out the way I thought, and not from a bad way. It's we had the Highleys move in.
Yeah.
Because they were waiting for their house to be finished that they were going to rent, and then Kayla and Pedro had a client that had someone that their house was being delayed as well. So we've had actually they're short term, but they're months long. So these people will be in for sure for 3 months and maybe 4.
Oh, that's cool.
Because bricks are delayed.
Really?
Yeah, like it's crazy down here. So,
Wow.
So yeah, they're I'm not lumping them by any stretch. I mean, they're getting a deal, but I mean, it's doing good for both of us.
Yeah,
it's fair
sure.
to them. It's fair to us. And it's
a win-win
connection.
It's a win-win. That's the way business should be.
Yeah.
You and I've had that talk several times
Absolutely.
in the past, That's awesome. So let's say these folks move out. Are you going to market more towards like a short-term rental, but a longer-term short-term? That makes sense? So like, hey, get somebody in here for a month, 3 months, 2 months, or more of the traditional Airbnb short-term?
Traditional Airbnb for sure.
Okay.
So obviously, Brandon and I talk quite a bit, Brandon Brittingham, so he's going to help me get linked up with a manager down here. I do not want to do the management of the Airbnb stuff. So
Got it.
So I'll find a good one here, hopefully a super host, and they'll manage it, and we'll keep it clear on the weeks that I come down.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So short-term rental is it's almost like a buzzword recently.
It's sexy right now, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
I hear you guys talk about it. You and Brandon came into our Apex executives. We do a monthly Zoom call for the executives. You guys came in there, I think it was 2 or 3 months ago, did an hour-long call. And, I mean, people's mouths were open, and all I saw was notepad scribbling going on the entire time. And after the call was over, all I got, and I'm sure you guys both did too, but my DMs blew up from our existing Apex executive community. Like, holy shit, that call was awesome. Those guys are on point. They're dialed in. They know what they're talking about. And I have to say, yes, I do agree with that. You guys definitely know what the hell you're talking about.
That was a fun call. I had a blast.
But that has fired something else up that's transitioning into more than just that one-time Zoom call. You and Brandon are be doing an event together. You got some online courses rolling in together as well.
Yep.
What's your intent there? And what do you, because I'm sure when you first started getting into this yourself, you're like, hey man, I need to learn this information. Where do I go and learn it from?
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, I've invested in myself quite a bit, and it's the best pathway to get to where you want. So what is my intention of this? I mean, I just certainly didn't plan on doing any of this, but I can't have 100 one-on-one calls with everyone.
Sure.
And help everyone that you want to. So this is a good way to disseminate the information that we have in our heads and really help some people on a tactical level.
Yeah.
Not just, I don't want to just feed people theory.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that people are prepared to actually do deals. So yeah, I mean, Brandon came up with the idea, and obviously that call was really fun. I thought we played well off of one another. So yeah, we decided to team up on it.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. And
likewise.
I know we got a bunch of tickets that are sold to that event already. It's going to be on March 3rd here at the office. And it's going to be the day before a Flying Friday as well.
March 3rd is the date.
Yeah, March 3rd is the date, which is a Thursday, and then March 4th is going to be Flying Friday for the executives. So it pairs up real nice.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to get together today and do some chatting about it and some videos.
And you're both stellar guys, and you got a lot going on. Like the amount of experience between the two of you in the whole real estate vertical is it's mind-boggling if you ask me.
It's a lot of fun, and it's nice to know that you're working with people that have done deals, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in another mastermind. They are primarily for syndications and apartment buying. Mm-hmm. And even when I had 100 units, like there's not that many people that have that. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
It's nice to deal with people, and that's not our main gig. Teaching is not our main gig, right? We're going to give away our game as much as we can, you know, and hope, when people absorb that, that's great. But like, we're not going around as our main gig just teaching people. We're actually doing deals, which is important because this information changes almost on a quarterly basis. Like the market changes, the strategies change, and I think that's important that, you know, when you're learning something, you're not learning a strategy that's stale by a year or 5 years.
Hold on one second. Hey, those folks that are standing back there just dropped off one of those packages. I have no idea who they are, and obviously I couldn't get up because I'm in the middle of a podcast. Some guy came and dropped off. They look like they had a bag or something, and it looked like they were very interested in coming in here. I have no idea who they are, so you may want to ask and see.
They dropped the bag off or this one?
I think a bag.
All right, the bag's Chipotle.
Okay.
So cool. But I just picked up the Chipotle that they were ordering because now we got 2 orders. You want some Chipotle?
No, I'm good. I don't know who they are or where they're going. Just check on them.
All right, I think he's DoorDash.
Oh, yeah? It could be. Give me like a creepy look when they're standing at the door. It's a beautiful part about recording podcasts like this because, hey, Danny, edit that shit.
He'll listen to it?
Yeah. He rips through it and cuts it, and he's got a whole process, which is cool.
Good.
So, speaking of process, you are a process guy, which is cool, even though you say you're not.
It's out of necessity.
Yeah, but it is out of necessity, but there's 2 kinds of folks, right? Because you're definitely more of a visionary, in my opinion, okay? People either visionary the fuck out of things and pay 0 attention to the process and just they kind of just do all the hard work and make things happen, or like you, out of necessity, you wind up building those processes. Are they the best processes? Maybe not, but they're probably an 8 or a 9 out of 10 because they have to be. Mm-hmm. But that's just awesome in my opinion, right? So now what's the next version of Dan Constantino look like? You know, what does it look like when you get that operations person in who starts dialing in those processes for you?
I'm excited about it. We just hired a project manager for our big deal.
Yeah.
And he jumped in day 2, man.
Yeah.
And has taken responsibilities away from me. This is the first time I've left Pittsburgh since we purchased it at the end of November.
Yeah.
And he's running with it, man. I mean, he's doing all kind of stuff. And I said, hey, did you think about this? He's like,
I got that
damn
already.
it, I was going to surprise you. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, this has happened like 3 times already. So he's doing the stuff that, you know, I didn't have anyone to be able to carry that out. So it's going to take a while for me to truly hand it off. And he's just the project manager. We're interviewing chief operating officers now.
Yeah.
And going through these interviews, I'm almost wondering if I should be looking more for a finance background instead of true operations. Because if I can get project managers like him that can really do the tactical stuff, I don't know. So it's definitely interviewing C-level people that are not necessarily partners up front, maybe down the road, but but ultimately someone with my abilities, but more operations focused or operations or finance, because really we need both. I mean, both are such a key component to what we do.
Yeah, especially if you're going to move in. Like, dude, could you imagine your company making deals and purchasing assets without you being the one to run the numbers and purchase the assets?
I can start to envision it now before I couldn't. Right,
but of course, you're not going to see it out of the gate, but you're at this point now, and it's very similar, I think, to where Stuman is here now with Break Free Academy and Apex and his other companies like Phone Sites, right? He's found that operational person for, let's call it Break Free Academy and Phone Sites, right? Because I'm the guy over here at Break Free Academy, and Mike Hardenbrook is the operations guy at Phone Sites, and similar to you and your project manager, it's gotten to the point now where Stuman, he doesn't even fucking ask anymore. Mm-hmm. Because when he was asking, it was like, yeah, I already did that, and I did da. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, no shit. That's why I'm the operations guy. Get out of the way.
That's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling when you ask your people if they thought about something. They're like, yeah, I did that last week or whatever. So that's going to take some getting used to for me for a while, because I'm just so used to doing everything myself. But it's tough in a small business, because when you're a small business, you just have this mindset, like, I have to have people that do many different things.
Yeah.
I'm finding that this, like, specializing now requires you to hire more people, but specializing has really been eye-opening to me. It's definitely worked a little bit better, and you can train them a little. They can become more of an expert in their component.
I think you and I have had that talk over the past couple of years when it comes to coaching calls, because full transparency, I'm your assigned Apex Executives coach here in the program.
Yep.
And I think I put it to you this way a couple months ago. There comes a point in time in the journey of a company where you have to stop hiring generalists, and you need to start hiring the specialists or sharpshooters who are very, very good at that specific role.
Yep.
And I think that you're either there or on the cusp right now of making that transition.
Yeah.
And that when you do, that's when this thing's going to really take off.
No doubt. And I relate this a lot to the companies I work for. I had a great 18-year career, and I worked for a Fortune 500 company right out the gate, to a smaller, $45 million, which grew to a $100 million freight forwarder, to $300 to $500 million third-party logistics company, right?
Yeah.
I saw so many people that were excellent at their job, but they were given either promotions that they weren't ready for or additional responsibilities. And they went from a great employee to someone that got fired because the company did not recognize that they put someone in a bad position.
Yeah.
And they ultimately, became a bad employee. And I've learned that's been a huge lesson for me in recognizing. I just went through this actually with my lead carpenter, who I've talked to you numerous times about, right?
Yep.
He took so much responsibility on to try to help me out. He was scheduling employees. The contractor, he was scheduling subcontractors. He was scheduling materials, picking up materials, all that stuff. He was doing all that. And before, he was just going out, picking up his materials for his job and going
doing
and
work.
his thing, right?
Yep.
So he was doing a lot. Well, he almost broke because we went through a week. We were like, we could have 9 turnovers done. Well, it ended up being we had 90% done turnovers, right?
Yeah.
And I said, man, why do we have people at all these different jobs when we could these are 90% done. Let's get these 3 done, right?
Yeah.
He wouldn't talk. Yeah, this was Christmas weekend. We had a lot of calls because we're still feeling our way out and we don't have things bulletproof. He didn't talk to me for 4 or 5 days.
Right.
He came in. I said, let's chat. He said, I looked him in the eye. He wasn't talking. I said, so you hate me? He's like, I'm just overwhelmed. I can't do this anymore. And I said, well, you can't do what anymore? Because I was worried he was going to quit. I didn't think he would, but he said, I just can't do all the scheduling and everything else. I said, well, hey, you helped me out when I needed it the most. And I said, you don't have to do all that. I said, we'll scale you back. And anyway, we had a great conversation. I had already I've already had bonuses ready for him for doing the transition and the performance bonuses from flips. He's in a much better mental place. Everyone's tension levels come down because I've scaled him back. He's still helping out with scheduling, but he's not doing the vendors. This is all project manager stuff now. But he was doing 2 jobs.
Yeah.
And it got to him. But again, I put him in that position. Now he wanted it, but I put him in a position to where I could have said, hey, your attitude's not good right now. I've seen it so many times, and it's something I'm really passionate about. You got to if someone's a good employee, you need to make sure that you tailor the job to them.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, we've had talks in the past heavily about employees and values, alignment, and is this person a good fit and not?
Yeah.
What's the team size you got now in total?
I am up to, I think, 14 people. I envision that being close to 20 by the end of Q1.
Yeah. Just out of necessity with the new purchase?
Yeah, we quadrupled, so it's, we had 10 before, so I don't need to have that many people because our back office was built for scale.
Yeah.
It's really the operations side of things, so our carpenters,
right.
I need cleaners now, things like that. That needs to grow a little bit. I could probably use another project manager, but it all depends on what I get from this C-suite opportunity. I'm not going to make that a rash decision on that type of hire. Yeah. And you gave me some great advice. It's either it's a hell yes or no. Yeah. There's really only 2 ways to be about. There's no, I think this guy could work.
It's never worked for me, ever.
No.
Anytime I was like, it's probably a good guy. It started out sometimes okay, sometimes immediately, but it usually starts out okay, and then before the 90-day mark is the magical number. Before the 90-day mark hits is usually when that person shows you their true colors.
Yep.
And in my experience, usually happens between the 30 and 60-day mark.
Yeah.
They can't hold it together for so long, you know. And the analogy I use is like the first time you met your mother-in-law, you were on your best behavior,
No doubt.
right? And then 5 years into the relationship, and you know you're burping and drinking beer in front of your mother like a truck driver, right? It's just the way it goes. But the same thing happens with that employee or that team member you bring on. They first start that job, they're not comfortable. They're showing you, they're putting their best foot forward. They're showing you that, I don't know, almost fake version of themselves,
Sure.
right?
It might be who they want to be.
Correct.
They're just not able to sustain it.
Correct. And then over time, like you said, they can't sustain it, and the true version of them gets exposed.
No doubt.
And sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's like, I really don't like that guy you showed up with today.
Yep.
But it's part of doing business, and that's why I preach to people so much about you have to implement some kind of hiring structure or process to put people through, slowly pull them through this process, because what you're trying to do is weed out those people before they come in and have the opportunity to infect your company.
Yeah. If you tolerate behavior that's not like your other teammates, like I have my A team, right?
Right.
If I tolerate bad behavior from someone new, it's going to infiltrate the A team.
And it
'Cause
piss
they're
your
gonna
A team off too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I trust me, we just ran into that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna come back and be like, hey, what's up, man? How come he can go ahead and do that? But if I went and did that, you know, you blow up my ass.
And listen, I was an employee not too long ago, right? So I know that mindset.
Yeah.
And I used to be in the union and everything else. I mean, I know what that employee mindset is.
Yeah.
I forget a lot of times, but it's easy for someone to fall into that.
So what was the transition like coming out of that employee mindset into full-time business owner? Because it didn't happen immediately. I mean, you started doing some flips and real estate investment deals, and then there had to be that certain fulcrum point, right, where it was like, fuck, I can't do both anymore.
I think it's so tough to. It was definitely it was more of an evolution than a point in time for
Okay.
sure. I really didn't start hiring people until what, 2019. I don't know. I mean, there were so many evolutions to it. It's really tough to pinpoint. I don't know if I can really answer that great. I'll say this. The thing that was the hardest for me was when we went through COVID
Yeah.
and I laid people off because I didn't know what the hell was happening, and I was like, I can't go bankrupt, right? So I had to, in my mind, I had to lay people off, and I regret that because I probably could have figured it out, but no one knew at that point.
Sure.
But that was the first time where I was like these people depend on me, right? And I just felt like a shitbag for laying people off that I really didn't want to.
Yeah.
And now that is what drives me. So even when someone's underperform, like if we make a bad hire, I got to get those people out of here as quickly as possible, because the people that do depend on me, I can't let them ruin it for everyone else.
Yeah.
My job is to protect the health of this company for the people that I care about the most.
Yeah, that's leadership, big time, right there, and you're taking full responsibility for it.
Yeah.
You know, like literally, I forget the president who it was, but he had the sign on his desk in the Oval Office, "The buck stops here."
Yeah.
Like that's literally the attitude you have to take as a leader within a company. And if you don't, then guess what? You're probably in the wrong seat.
Yeah. I've had to do things that I don't want to do since we bought this, because quite frankly, I take ownership that I didn't have us set up to, do this much volume, right?
Yeah.
So I've gone out on maintenance calls, which I haven't done in who knows how long.
Yeah.
Right? I went out on Christmas two times that day. Now my girls were sick, so they were in bed pretty much. So I was like, I'm going out.
Yeah.
So I had to go to two maintenance calls that day. Friday we had an employee. I told you the story earlier. He was physically ill because of a task I asked him to do. I went down there and put a mask on, and I did the task myself. And you know what? I did it in front of another employee. I did it because I wanted them to see that if I'll do it, I'll roll up my sleeves, but I expect you guys to do it too.
Leading from the front is what that is.
Yeah.
You know?
Some people I have a good friend that tells me that I shouldn't do that at all. Like that I'm still thinking like too small of a business person. So there's always different opinions about it.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I definitely have fought that battle too, where it's like, hey, I know that there's an elevated version of me, right, that I'm trying to become and walk into every day, and by me having to go back and do some of those menial tasks, that it kind of makes me take a step back and slow down that forward progress.
Yep.
But at the same point in time, what's the message that I'm sending across to my team? So it's a tough dichotomy to choose which way you're going, because I can understand both sides of that argument big time.
I don't know what's right. And all I can do is just go by what my gut tells me to do.
Bingo. That's just it right there. What feels right inside of you?
I mean, listen, our businesses are not textbook, like, right? There is no
book, man.
Playbook, man. So you got to do what feels right, and that's why. I mean, I'll say this now, but like, no one's left my company. Like, no one quits. You know what I mean? It's there's people that have exited.
Yeah.
We have a great team, and I expect that to continue. We're at the size that I can control those core values and control the attitude that the company has, even when times get hard. I mean, I've got people driving an hour to work right now every single day, and they're going out on weekends whenever it's needed. Like that's just not something you can expect from a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I feel grateful and blessed that I have a team that I've built that will do that for me. So yeah, sometimes I feel like I got to roll up my sleeves and help out.
Yeah, I get it. What's next this year coming up here in 2022? What's the next version of you? What's the next iteration of the company? What are some of the goals you got set?
Yeah, so I'm admittedly I'm behind on goal setting.
Okay, you've been a little busy.
So December was painful.
Yeah, we go by the adage of fuck your excuses here, but sir, I will say, and I don't say this very often, if anybody's got a valid excuse to be behind on something right now, it's you, because you just took on a major fucking endeavor.
It was a lot. It is a lot, but we're starting to get into our steady state here now. But the main goal is attack big multifamily still. So I want to take down another apartment syndication, one or two for sure. So it depends on what size, right? Yeah. So I wanted to get a 100-unit complex in 2021. We ended up with 300. So I already have my sights on one that's another 300, and it's in the same vicinity, so we could operate that as well. So that's definitely going to be my focus. Outside of that, I've got to look at turning my active real estate into more passive. So doing more passive deals. Like I put money in on an Airbnb that's going to net better than most of my short-term rentals on the smaller scale. So getting to more passive investing as opposed to the flips. I'll do flips. I really don't want to, though. Yeah. I mean, it's a great way to generate cash, but they're a time suck for sure.
They are. Stuman stopped doing them as well.
Yeah.
Because he was like, it's just too much damn work to go in there.
So that, and so I'd say buying another apartment building or two and increasing my hard money lending again, as opposed to doing more of the active stuff. Yeah,
makes sense.
Yep.
So what does it look like? I mean, you had to have just laid out some serious cash for this acquisition, this big 305-door unit. And you got your eyes set in another one already. Like, my mind goes to like, fuck, what happened to old Dan's money? He just spent it all on this new purchase. And yet within the same year, you're looking to go in and acquire another big bitch.
Yeah.
So where does that funding come from? Is it money that's generated because of your cash flowing assets over the course of, let's call it, the next 8 to 12 months? Or is it, let me go out and find some hard money?
So it's actually neither. This was it's called a syndication. So we are the main owners. It's myself and one partner. We're the general partners, and we go out and raise money through limited partners. So they'll come on board. They're passive investors. There's so many people that want exposure to real estate, and you'll find you'll see it whenever we do this event in March, right?
Yeah.
There's so many people that want to be exposed to real estate investing, but they don't have time to manage contractors, nor the skill set to manage contractors. They have successful businesses, so doctors, lawyers, business owners. VPs of sales in different companies. They want to deploy money and get exposure into real estate, so they'll invest in projects like us. So, so that's where the money will come from. So I do have a healthy portion because it was my like first big deal, but first big syndication. I felt like I needed to show people that I believed in it that much that I'm going to put, hundreds of thousands of dollars into it.
Yeah.
So I had sold one of my properties and refinanced some things. I put my own money into it for sure. So I've got a lot of money tied up in this deal. So to do another deal, I don't believe I'll have to have as much in. So I will do a syndication. I'll have a history, a track record of what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I have connections with the banks, so we'll use other people's money for sure. And quite frankly, the goal is to buy a better deal. So if we can get some sexier returns, it's going to be hard for people to avoid
Say
that.
no.
I've already seen the benefits of doing this deal, from buying power to commercial brokers reaching out to me. It just put me in a different space.
Yeah.
We go to stores in this county now. This is not my home county. It's one county over.
Yep.
And there's people out there that know me that I never, they're like, oh, you're the guy that bought all these. Like so it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's why I'm doing more marketing now, social media marketing. to
Yeah,
build
dude,
my
I've
brand.
seen a ramp up there from you, sir. Congratulations. I've seen a lot of really good looking videos too that you put together.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I hired someone to help me.
Okay.
Full disclosure, I would never ever do this
Yeah.
if I had to do it myself.
Of course not. Neither would I.
I have a bullet point list of all the stuff for content that I
Yeah.
always wanted to do to,
Yeah.
I mean, the apex way, right? And I just would never sit down and do it. So, again, when you pay to do something,
Well, I need to go do this. Otherwise, it's a waste of money.
it's a waste of money.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Are you meeting with this person to batch load the content? Or is it like, hey, when I get a minute, I'm just going to record a video and then send you the raw footage? How does that work for you?
So a little bit of both. So I'll take pictures during the week and I'll upload them we have a shared drive. So I'll upload them to a drive for images. The videos, I have to set aside like 90 minutes and I'll just blow through.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Got it.
the goal is to do, I think, 12 a month or something like that. But
Okay.
I've had great feedback,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nothing I've monetized or anything like that. It's not
Yeah.
about that. It's about the future. It's about a way of life. And, I've seen benefits from it already, but it's just tough to quantify.
Sure. Yeah, it's one of those things that you will. I don't think you'll ever be able to properly quantify it.
Yeah. And that's not my concern either.
No, but just knowing, and this is my experience with it too, is you go out there, you don't expect anything in return, and you continue to put that content out, and a couple months go by, a year goes by, 2 years go by, and all of a sudden everyone knows who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And you're already breaking down the know, like, and trust factor. And you and I both know this.
Social proof.
Yep. In order for someone to buy something from you, they have to know, like, and trust you.
Yeah, they're Googling your ass.
Oh, hell yeah. So what happens when they Google your ass and you show up
Everywhere.
with 4,000 videos from the last 2 years of content?
Well, just the posting that I did that was haphazard at best last year. I mean, I did better than I ever had before, just trying to follow the build your machine methodology, right? We had several people join our syndication, the first syndication, because of that. There's no question in my mind. I mean, they didn't know me before. They knew me from Facebook and Instagram and
Yeah.
LinkedIn. So we raised hundreds of thousands of dollars that way. So,
Because of social media.
without
I fucking
question.
love it, man.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy every day when people come in here like, well, I can't make money from social media. My clients aren't. Come on, man. Your clients are on social media, or somebody that your client knows is on social media.
Yeah.
So trust me, if you get your marketing out there, your message out there,
Yeah.
people are going to consume that content, and when the time is right, they're going to buy something from
Yeah.
you or get involved in some deal.
You know, it's funny, man. Probably my favorite on this syndication, probably my favorite raise. A guy was a customer of mine back at the tech company when we did custom websites. And we did this kick-ass website for his family-owned trucking company. And real gruff guy. I mean, he still drives a truck, and he talks like this.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he talks like a trucker. He should be cast in a movie for being a truck driver.
Yeah.
So he I had texted him because we were raising money and I needed to raise money. I was like, we were behind the 8 ball on it. I wasn't sure we were going to get it done.
Yeah.
So I texted people. I'm like, this guy, I know this guy likes me, right? But I haven't reached out to him. I'm like, yeah, I'll text him. He wanted exposure to real estate, and he's a busy business owner, right? So I was down in Jamaica over Thanksgiving, and he was like, I'll find out. Let me know about this. I'll call you. So he calls me. I'm in the lobby of the hotel. I have this call with him in the morning. I'm in Jamaica looking over the ocean, and this guy could not have sounded less interested, right? It's him and his wife, and so we go through the whole thing. I'm like, well, what do you think? And he goes, well, we'll look at it and get back to you. So he's like, just send me the information. So I sent him the information, and my last line, I deleted it, put it back in, deleted it, and I put it back in.
Yeah.
I said, well, Dave, reading you over the phone is like reading Braille for me. So let me know where your head's at. He texted me not 5 minutes later, said his wife laughed her ass off so hard. He's like, I haven't heard her laugh like that in years. And they ended up investing with us, and they were a key, fundraising amount for us. And we're getting them exposure to real estate. They don't have time to do it or the knowledge to do it.
Sure.
So it's a win-win, which I'll never do a deal outside of that. So, but it's really fun. But yeah, it's the work that I put in years ago.
Yeah.
That led him to trust me on that. And I know he sees me on LinkedIn and stuff like that, but he's never going to comment or like on my stuff.
Sure. Yeah. He's that guy that just lurks in the background,
You never know
consumes
who's
all your
watching.
content, but never likes, never comments, never interacts.
We got a doctor. Same thing.
Yeah.
I've talked to him one time, and he put in 6 digits with us. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Sir, I appreciate you coming in here today and chopping it up with me.
Hey.
It's always getting great updates from you. You're one of the people who's come in from day one, and you just do the fucking work, bro. And it clearly shows. I mean, you come in here, you're a different person. I hope you know this. You're a different person today than you were the first day I met you. And you and I met, I think it was 2020? MDM was canceled courtesy of COVID. You wound up becoming an Apex executive.
Yep.
And shortly after that, you were assigned to me, and we've had several conversations, met each other a whole bunch of times. But the version of Dan that I met when you first came into this program versus who you are now is night and day difference. I mean, your physical appearance is different, your mindset's different. Obviously, your assets have increased exponentially. Just a lot of really cool things have happened in your life, and not to mention you drive some cool cars too.
Those are bound to get cooler too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, my life has changed. I hate to be a commercial, but I mean, Apex has really changed my life. There's no question about it, because it's made me better health-wise, because right around the time I started, I got rheumatoid arthritis, diagnosed with that. I worked through that, and I work out regularly now, and I'm in better shape than I have been since I've been in my 20s. And even my marriage, I hate to say it, like that it would take Apex. It didn't take Apex, but it's made it better. Like at first, what's funny is, I told you this. I was shared. She thought it was like a cult. She was skeptical of it, right? I bought a house in Texas. She's never been here. She came down at that October event, and I know I've told you this, but this is for everyone listening. I mean, a switch went off for her, just like it did for me. And she has relationships with people in Apex now. Yeah. She's wearing the fuck your excuses hoodies, and she's listening to, Ryan's Rewired podcast and stuff like that. She's a client of Ray Catania for nutrition now. Yeah. Like this place is no joke, man. It's there's no fluff to it. It's all real, and the people procured to be in this group is just it's hard to describe. Yeah, for sure. It is. Until you've actually experienced it and you've been in the room yourself, people don't believe you when you try to explain it to them. And even somebody here in my position, and it's my duty and obligation to sell the shit out of this program, some days I'm like, I don't know if I can put what just transpired in that room into words to help you understand or know more about it. I have a tough time explaining it. Yeah. The only thing I could do is, I mean, people see me on social media, and I'm like, what? It's because I hang out with my buddies at Apex. I mean, we all have it in us, right?
Yeah.
But being around people that are also doing the work helps drive you. There's that accountability factor that you just don't get if you stay in your own silo.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So.
Well, I appreciate the hell out of you, sir. For those who are listening who may be interested in investing in some of your syndications, real estate funds, hard money lending, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, Instagram, Dan Constantino _, or Facebook, just Dan Constantino. Those are the two ways. And I have a website as well. It's 412ah.com. That's another good way to get a hold of me.
Awesome, man. Appreciate your time here today, and I look forward to seeing you grow some more over the next 12 months.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Yes, sir.